In this training series, we will be taking a look at a step-by-step process to build an MMO in UE4. MMOs are very complex and take dozens of people working together to complete, but by the end of this multi-part training series, you will have a simple MMO demo that you can package up and play with friends. You will also have acquired a basic knowledge set so that you can begin the process of constructing your MMO. All content used in this training series will be freely available so you can follow along. To get the most out of this series, I do recommend building this demo MMO using your own UE4 project. I will purposefully pause at certain points to help you copy down any settings or blueprints. I will also be explaining why we are doing each step and suggest other options depending on what kind of MMO you are looking to make. We will be covering a wide range of topics related to MMO development, and we will be implementing the following in our project. Some of the topics we will be covering during this series: character setup and locomotion, which we're going to take a look at today; using gameplay abilities to create our combat system; world composition and huge worlds; mobs and AI; NPCs and quests; inventory and items; using the HLOD system to reduce draw calls and increase performance. This one's very important for large worlds; texture layers and developing an art pipeline; other possible topics based on your suggestions. What I've done in advance of this video is that I have visited saberdartstudios.com/marketing/free trial, and I've signed up for the open world server system. This thing says here that it'll expire in 7 days. It's actually been this way for over a year, so not going to expire anytime soon. Sign up for that. It'll get you your API key and take you over to the installation instructions. You want to make sure that you're running this 2018-0718 release here on 420. Previous releases may work, but just to make sure that you don't run into any issues, if you want to follow along, I suggest doing it with this version. You'll have to run through these setup instructions to get all of your network settings correct for testing, and there's a video here if you need some help. The first time that you load up the project, there's a few things you're going to want to do. Let's open up this, and you are going to want to go to here and click Run Dedicated Server. This is in the local saved folder, so when you every time you transfer a project or copy a project, you lose that setting. So make sure you turn that on, otherwise you may have some trouble. Another thing I wanted to make you aware of is there's different ways to run this, but one of the things that we want to look at here is in the game mode. And this is the user that it's going to be accessing the system using when you just hit the play and editor button. That's the user it's going to be using since we're not going through the login process. Initially it starts out as test. You may have some luck with that, you may not. It just depends on how well that user's set up. I suggest going through and actually creating a character in the system, and then whatever that name is, come in here and copy down that name here, and you'll probably have the most success. Also, since it's not using a real login process and taking you to wherever you last were, we've got this debug start location. So you can use this here to control where your character starts in the world. These two settings here are really helpful when debugging in Play and Editor. We'll just take a quick look at what we've got here. So this is the unmodified demo. We can run around. It's got a few abilities here. You can swing this this board here. So a few things here, but now we're going to start modifying. So I have gone, and the second thing I've done is I have added Paragon Seraph from the UE4 Marketplace. This is a free Paragon asset. We're going to be using many of the free Paragon assets during this demo. But for today, make sure that you have the Paragon Seraph Marketplace content installed to this. And that's where we're going to start. That's all I've done. I have loaded up so we don't have to sit here and wait while compiling shaders. I have loaded up all of the content here in Seraph just so it compiled all the shaders in advance. You'll have to do that. So at this point, probably a good time for you to go and get the open world server set up and get the Paragon Seraph installed to this project. Okay, now that you've done that, let's start modifying. So we're going to come in here and we're going to open up this third person character with abilities is our character blueprint. And so we're going to come in here, and we do not want this robot anymore. We want Seraph. Okay. Looks good. Always take a look at the feet there. Negative 97. Yeah, it looks pretty good. We can adjust it later if it's bad. Okay, she's got her own weapon here, so we really want to lose this this other weapon here. So we've got this weapon tip in the weapon, and we're gonna dump that, and instead let's add a sphere collision. Sphere collision, and we'll call this weapon tip. And let's attach that. Come over here to the parent socket. I think there's a mace. Yeah, let's try this one. Yeah, that's not really where I was hoping. Let's see which ones here work best. Oh, that one. That one looks pretty good. That's not too bad. So now just try something a little smaller here. And that's probably good for now. So we'll hook that up. Okay. So now we've got Seraph here, but Seraph does not have an animation blueprint. So what we need to do is we need to go create an animation blueprint for Seraph. So let's come into Seraph, Characters, Heroes, Seraph, Animations, and let's create a new BP folder. And let's create a new animation blueprint. And just want the anim instance and Seraph skeleton. Okay, saving out-of-date packages. Interesting. Okay, there we go. I was hoping it wouldn't have to compile the shaders again, but it looks like it's going to. Let's see. Seraph, AnimBP. Okay, let's start building out the event graph. So first thing we want to do is drop down try get pawn owner. And we want to make sure this is valid. If it is valid node. Okay, and if it's in, we gotta add some variables here. So let's add a bool is in air for jumping. Let's add is accelerating. We're going to need a float for speed. And eventually we're going to need melee twist. And let's also add direction and direction stop. We'll need that later when we do the adaptive start-stop. So first thing we're going to do is get movement component. It's going to get the movement component from our character, and we're going to ask, is falling? And set. Okay. Pull this out a little bit. And we'll add a comment. Is in air. Okay, next let's get the speed, get velocity, and we're going to want to get the vector length on that. We're not really interested in the direction here, we're just interested in the length, and we're going to set speed with that value. Okay. And after that, let's check if this character is accelerating. Interesting. Good. Okay. Let's instead cast this. Convert it to a pure cast. Get character movement and get current acceleration. And we'll get the vector length of that. And we're going to check, is it greater than 0? And we're going to set is accelerating. These comment things here can sometimes make it easier to find stuff when you're zoomed out like this and you're like, where is that thing I'm looking for? So I recommend using them. Okay. We are going to get velocity, and we're going to get actor rotation. And I found this great node called calculate direction. And it works really good. So we'll hook those up, calculate that direction, and we will set it here. Okay, make some room here. Figures out what direction we're currently moving in the world. Use that to change our animations we're playing. And the final one we're going to do right now is we're going to get this melee twist. So let's get curve value, and it is called melee twist. You can see the spelling here, melee twist. And we're going to hook that up here. Okay, so now we've got some values to play with here. So let's go in to our anim graph. Okay, now we're going to start with a state machine. And we're going to call this state machine ground locomotion. Create another state machine. Oops, let's go back. Jump locomotion. And we're going to run this to a cached pose set. Cache. New saved cache pose. Ground loco. Cache pose, jump, loco. And for now, we're just going to come down here, and we're going to take jump, loco. We'll just feed it in here. We'll come back to there later. Okay, inside of our anim graph, let's create an idle state. Idle. And we are going to have start and stop later, but for now, we're just going to have a state here that I call jog. And we'll use that is accelerating. And do the reverse here. Not accelerating. We'll come back and change this later. This is temporary. I like to iterate rather than do things all at once. It makes it easier to catch errors and troubleshoot, which is most of what you spend your time doing. Very little time building. Most of the time is spent troubleshooting and debugging. And we'll go into our jump. And we'll add an idle state. And we will add another state called jump. And we'll add a jump land. Okay, for this first one we're going to use the is in air. And for this one we're going to use not is in air. And okay, and for this one we will just use is in air again. We're going to add two of them. So we're going to have is in air. And we're going to have another one. You can actually do two, and they show up next to each other. Sometimes it's hard to figure out which one's with. And this one is going to use this automatic rule, which basically changes when is it done. And okay, let's go into the jump, and we're going to create another state machine. We're going to call this jump. inside this, we're going to have state jump start. And then we're going to have jump apex. And we're going to have jump pre-land. And all of these are just going to be the default rules when the previous one finishes. Go ahead and set these up. Okay, we're going to grab some animations, play jump start. Jump apex. And jump pre-land. That's not what we wanted. Jump land. Okay, we got that. Come back here, hook this up. And let's go take a look at jump land. Okay, here's where we're going to cache. We're going to use our ground logo so we can blend these together. And we're going to apply an additive. Apply additive. And I found that 0.4 works pretty good here. You can adjust this as needed. A lot of these things you can adjust and get some nice smooth transitions. So this one here, you can see it's the additive. We don't want the other one, we want the additive. Often they'll refer to the Paragon stuff or refer to these as MSA, mesh-based additive. So if you see that, sometimes it's like, whoa, what's MSA? They're just talking about additives. Okay, so we've got that set up. Okay, so we need to go in here and set these up. Forgot about that. So let's play our idle. Okay, for our jog is where we're going to need to create a blend space. So let's go over here to blend spaces, and we're going to say animation, new, one-dimensional blend space. We'll change this later, but for now, we're going to create a one-dimensional. We're going to do jog, direction, 1D blend. Okay. We're going to come up to the horizontal axis, and this is going to be direction. Go from negative 180 to 180. 4 is good. And so we're going to come here. Makes it easier if we filter these. Okay, we're going to put forward in the center. We're going to put backward on both ends because it's 180 and negative 180. We're going to put jog left at negative 90. We're going to put jog right at 90. Okay, and let's come back over here, and we'll drop that in. Let's type blend, should be easier to find. Jog direction 1D blend. Okay, now we need this direction. But you'll see here that we have a direction. So we can drop that in. Okay, let's see where we're at. So we're going to go back over here. Let's close that. And let's go back to our blueprint. Go to our mesh. And let's pick Sarah's AnimBP. Okay, a couple things I want to change here on the character movement. So let's take a look at it first. So I can explain what we want to do. Okay, it's not animating yet, but we'll take care of that. But you notice that As I move the direction, the character moves to face it. Well, I don't want that. I want strafing. So let's go over here, and we'll go into the third person character here, go to character movement, and to add strafing, what you want to do is you want to scroll down, use controller desired rotation checked, and uncheck orient rotation to movement. While we're in here, I also feel like this character is a little too fast, so let's go with, let's see here, what's a good number? Let's go with 400 and 200. And I also like to lower this max acceleration. It's just a little too quick. That'll matter later when we are, that will matter later when we are doing starts and we want it to blend a little bit smoother. Okay, so let's take a look at why our character is not animating. So we've got this set up here. We've got use animation blueprint. That looks good. So let's go back to our blueprint. And, you know, we're able to actually test it out, which is kind of fun. So we can come here, and we can actually test out some speeds. So we had like 400. And, okay, we are not getting anything here. So let's go take a look at what we've got. We probably forgot to hook something up. Okay. Showing some animating here. We've got our blend space there. Got our idle there. That looks good. Okay. And then let's make sure here we got everything hooked up. Let's see. Try get pawn owner. Check if it is valid. Yep, okay. Looks good. Yep, so it looks like where our problem is over here on the anim graph. This is not, let's go back over here. And I think maybe we missed something here. Let's take a look. It doesn't seem to think that it needs to use that ground one, and I think that's problematic. Yeah, basically the jump one is using this one, and so we should be seeing that we should be seeing it use this here. So that's a bad sign. That shows us that we missed something. Something about the jump one here is supposed to use the cache pose. Ah, yes. We have no idle. So in the idle here, this one is supposed to use the cache pose for ground. Loco. And once we do that, I think we'll be good. There we go. Oh, okay, so now we can sit here and you can actually use these things over here to preview it. So we can see what happens when we switch is accelerating. Later that'll have a nice start and stop transition. We can see what would happen when we change the direction. That's kind of cool. Yeah, so we got all of those. So you can do all of this testing before we even go try it out. But let's go try it out. Okay. See, so now I can strafe. That's what I wanted. So And now the mouse cursor moves my direction. There's A and D, and W and S. Okay, I don't really like how far we are away. I'm going to give this a little bit more of an action feel. So let's go into our player controller. And we have a target camera zoom. I'm going to drop that down to say, let's try 250 first. And let's go in and adjust our camera position. Give it a little bit different feel. So we're going to go into the viewport. We're going to grab our camera boom. Yeah, I want to pull that over. Give it a little bit of a different feel here. Okay. And let's give that a try. Yeah. So we got that closer look to it. I like that. We could even potentially get in closer depending. But right now I still want to kind of see the feet because we're gonna play around with that later. But yeah, it gives a little bit more of an action feel. Okay. Now I'm hitting the button that was swinging before, but it's not swinging now. So let's go in and see if we can get this to swing that mace when we hit the left mouse button. Oh, we got some errors. Let's take a look. Oh, and it's related to swinging the weapon because we removed that weapon and the weapon tip. So let's go get that fixed. Okay, so what we want to do here is we're missing something in our AnimBP. We are missing an upper body slot because we want to do an upper body animation. So let's pull this over and we'll make a copy of it. And we want to do a layered blend per bone. And we want to drag this one into the base. And this one here, we want to add an upper body slot. We'll type slot, and we've got this default slot, right? But that's not what we want. We want the upper body slot. These slots are set up in the Paragon character, so if you don't see those, it's probably because you didn't add the Paragon character. And we're going to pull this upper body slot and drag it in here. And we need to set up this layered blend per bone, and so we'll start with a simple one here. We can change it later. Work at improving the animations, but we're just going to use spine 0, 1, and we're going to go 4 bones deep. And we got to hook this back up. So now we have an upper body slot, but we don't have an animation montage. So we're going to go here and we'll create a new folder called montages. And I'm not happy with that name. Well, we're going to have to delete it. And come back and use the right capitalization. Okay, so let's create animation montage serif. And we're going to, I think this is referred to as the Q attack. Probably relates to what keys are pressed in Paragon, I'm guessing. Let's go over here. I think it's called Q attack. Yeah, Q attack A. We'll just grab this one here. And we'll drop that in. And we want to make sure that we change this to play in the upper body slot. Okay, and we'll take the defaults there. And now what we need to do is we need to go and scroll up here to our ability system. And under abilities, under this attack, we have this attack with weapon collision. And we need to make a couple changes here, because you'll see this weapon tip thing. So we need to pull out the new weapon tip. And we're going to hook it up to everywhere that those red lines go. Because we're replacing the old one. And then we can dump this old one. Should make the errors go away. But then we also need to switch this montage to this Q attack montage. Okay, so we'll change that so that it can play. And let's see if that's going to work. Okay. That looks terrible. Yeah, so now's where we got to play around with the melee twist, because otherwise it looks pretty bad. So let's go here and let's add our melee twist. We're just going to make this look a whole lot better. So let's go back over to our animation blueprint. Let's make some room here. And we are going to add local to component. This puts it into component space so we can use a different set of nodes here. We're going to use transform bone. And we're going to put 3 of them. I'm actually going to start with just 1 so I can show you why we add the other 2. And we'll hook this up. And we'll hook this up. And we're going to take that and this scale here we're going to split. And we're going to add our melee twist to the Z. And now you're going to see what happens. We do have to set up what bone we want to modify. And in this case, it's going to be the pelvis. Okay. And we're taking the rotation. Oh, help if I plugged it into the right one. Let's recombine those. And it's the rotation is what we want. And put that into the yaw. And so we're going to take here and add to existing. Okay. And let's take a look at what happens here. Okay, still not giving us what we want, so let's take a look what we've got here. Okay, let's change this to world space. And we converted it back. That's good. Let's try that out. Okay. Let's see. Something about this is a little bit off. So we've got it plugged into the right place. Let's double check here. We've got our melee twist. Looks good. That's assuming that we're setting it properly over here. Let's just double check. Melee twist, get curve value. That looks good. Okay. We're blending the layer blend per bone on spine 01. That looks good. Curve blend option is max weight. That could potentially have been something that tripped us up, but that's actually what we want. And then in the bone, we've got pelvis, add to existing. All that looks good. We're then taking and converting it back to local and running it out. So that looks good, but you notice it's not animating the pelvis. There's a couple things that could be doing that. It's possible that our melee twist is, okay, you can see that it's working here. So potentially the problem is over on getting the melee twist. It's just not, curve's not getting picked up right. So let's make sure we have that all set up the way we want. Okay, we have that spelled correctly. We're getting to this point. So we're running all these other things. Direction was being set, so there's no reason that we wouldn't make it there. Yep, so that looks good. So I think that what's happening here is I need to go take a look at the montage. We did that a little bit quick, and we probably missed an important setting on this Q attack montage. So let's take a look here at what we've got. Okay, we've got our Q attack A. Oh, that wasn't the one I was going to use. I was actually going to use, yeah, okay. I didn't use the animation I want. And possibly that animation did not have a melee twist. Okay, so we're changing this to primary attack. Oh. I opened it instead of the montage. So primary attack A fast is the one I actually wanted. I know that one has a melee twist. And I don't like things named improperly, so let's fix this. Primary fast attack montage. And that'll get renamed everywhere else. Okay, let's go take a look at it now. Okay, so look at this. The feet are getting spun along with it because it's moving the pelvis. So what we've got to go do is we've got to go subtract those back out. We'll go fix those later. Don't worry about that. So let's go back to the animation blueprint, and you saw I had 2 ones waiting here. I'm just going to delete those and copy from this one since it's already got them split. And I had them waiting because I knew that we need to remove the rotation from the thigh bones. So let's run these through, and we're going to do our left and right thigh. So let's do the left thigh here, thigh L, and we'll do the right one here. And now we need to get the opposite of this. So we're going to do a subtract, float minus float, and we're going to do 0 minus, which will get us the opposite, inverse, and we'll plug that into those, and those should have pulled over the add existing world space. That's why I copied them. It was easier to pull that over. And let's take a look at what happens now. Okay, not as bad on the feet. Okay, look at this. Now when I hit the button, it's stopping. We gotta go take a look at that. That's because the default setup was to stop when you do the ability, and we do not want that. So let's go back to our attack with weapon collision, and if we go to class defaults, you'll see I've got this here, is attacking cannot move. This came in from the OWS setup, but we do not want to do that on this one. We want to keep moving while we swing, and now we can run and swing, and it's not too bad. It doesn't seem like it really throws off of our running. So the melee twist was able to add to the pelvis, but then subtract those values back out of the left and right thigh, which would have been the next bone that was connected to it. Yeah, we can actually attack these people. Attack these NPCs here. But they really need some kind of impact, and they're going to need some kind of hit animation, you know, so they don't just kind of stand there, and the only way you know that it's hitting it is because the health goes down. So that's one of the things we'll likely take a look at in the next installment. I think I'm going to stop here for this first part, and in part 2 we will take a look at some more locomotion, the start-stop, and potentially look at improving our abilities. So thanks for watching, and if you have any suggestions, let me know.